Michelle. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, welcome this afternoon to the Hillsborough TPO ITS committee meeting. Welcome, everyone. Meeting comes to order. Get my little cap. All right. So do we have any introductions that we need to go through? Or should we go to roll call? I think everyone's familiar faces. Are you good with that?
I'm good with that, but do we need any roll call?
I think we should, yes, just so we can document who is actually in attendance, and then we'll come back if anyone shows up. We are gonna need to modify the agenda because we don't have a quorum. The only voting item that we have today is to approve the meeting minutes from last quarter. So we propose to go ahead and move forward with the rest of the agenda. And then we'll come back if we get a quorum. If not, we'll just postpone to the next meeting.
Sure.
Does that work?
Sure.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Sure, we can do.
All right, Cheryl, do you want to go ahead and do the roll call, please?
Sure. Margaret Kubilens,
Here.
Brian Zayas,
Here.
Amir Kawaja,
Here.
Fred Baxter,
Here.
Judith Villegas, Dexter Corbin,
Here.
Jeff Sims,
Hey, I'm here online and I'll be up there in person in about 5 minutes.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
Achilles Quatelas,
Here.
and Edward Albritton.
Attending virtually.
Okay, we are still waiting on a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much.
Margaret, it's Achilles. I just wanted to say I did have a couple of changes or corrections for the minutes. I don't know if we want to put them in before there is a motion.
Why don't we wait until we see if we're gonna process or proceed with the
Okay.
approval of the minutes?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we next move to the public comment period. I see Ben here from staff and no one else. Does anyone online? You'd enter, either speak up or enter in the chat. Do you have any comments?
I
Okay,
don't see any
nothing.
comments.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, we'll skip to item number 5, the status reports. The first one up is vehicular traffic count report from Vishaka.
Good afternoon, committee members, and good afternoon to those who are online. This is Vishaka Subraman, TPO staff, and I'm here to present a status report for the Hillsborough TPO and City of Tampa traffic counts collection project that was started in spring 2024 and completed in June. This has been presented to the TPO board and the other committees and has received approval. So I just present the highlights of it. Just a quick introduction to the project, the purpose of the traffic counts. Traditional traffic counts focus on motor vehicles and help to determine a condition level of service. They form the basis of transportation studies and planning. The TPO tries to keep the counts updated every few years on a regular cycle. And this year we are trying to coincide with the long range transportation plan year, which will help to feed into some of the data that has been part of the modeling process and helps to determine the traffic counts. The need right now is because like I said, it's good to coincide with the long range transportation plan traffic counts. program, and also it is to respond to the growth in population and the increase in traffic across the region. Tampa Bay has been one of the fastest growing areas in the region, and this will help to validate the growth that's been happening over a period of years. So this cycle, we did a collective counts for 440 count stations across the TPO network. The TPO coordinated with the partner agencies, including the three cities, City of Tampa, Temple Terrace, Plant City, and the Hillsborough County, to get a list of locations that they would like to be included as part of the update. Some of these locations are part of the regular program, and some of them are new locations that has been added. The counts program reflects the partnership with the City of Tampa, who were able to contribute to the project and help to get more locations counted this year. This slide, what you see here, shows a map of the locations. They are color coded by jurisdiction, and each jurisdiction requested some new locations or existing locations that they deem necessary to add to the count station. And this slide will just give you a quick methodology of the traffic counts. The traffic counts were collected over a 48-hour period, and they are the average daily traffic and the peak hour volume, as well as the 15-minute increments in the direction. And they were collected typically between a Monday and a Thursday when school was in session. It avoided holidays, special events, and non-school days. If any locations were within a 3-mile radius of a school, those were counted on a school day when school was in session. The details are included in the report, and they are also published on the TPO website on the traffic counts page. These are some of the images to show how the counts were collected. They were collected using video technology, and the counters were set up at various locations for 2 consecutive days. As you see, some of the locations also. This was actually the consultant who did the multimodal counts, which Ben will be going over later, is the same consultant who did the counts for the traffic vehicular counts also. So some of the pictures were taken at the same time, and they show that they could overlap. This slide is actually a sample of the counts spreadsheet. As you can see there, they are only, this is for illustrative purposes. The detailed spreadsheet isn't included in the report. As I had mentioned previously, it includes the volume by direction, average daily traffic, and the average annual daily traffic count calculated based on the FDOT's principle and the level of services calculated using the TPO methodology. And just to go over the schedule, as I mentioned, this was started in spring 2024, kicked off in February. Since the counts were collected through video capture technology, they were collected pretty fast, and the consultant was able to consolidate the data, calculate the level of service, and produce the report in a short time frame. With that, I will take any questions if you have any questions or discussion.
What is the access for the data for, is it publicly available or is it shareable through our agencies and organizations?
So the raw, are you talking about the raw counts or the report itself?
Um,
Report has a spreadsheet with, like I showed you, which has the average daily traffic and the ADT and the LOS calculated.
so that report is available online?
Yes,
Okay.
I can share the website with you later.
Okay, that would be helpful, I think. Also, is it on a map or something? A GIS or something?
So yes, that will be included in the, if there is a count map, which we are updating, and that will be posted on the website also, which includes the locations. Right now, it's just, I have the sheet files, but that can be included in the website.
Brian's eyes just showed me how easy it was by just going to the county website.
Okay. And the city also has access, some of the locations were provided by city, so it's a collective designated data set. We do have internally and in the database, I think the data of all the locations, but the front end we have the easier public version.
It's part of the data, some kind of comparison with the last count, whether or not we are higher, lower, same count.
That should be available in the historic
Is it?
accounts, but like I said, some of them are new locations, so that we're going to, this would be a start with locations.
And then is there a feed that's sent over to the Suncoast Mobility Hub? Yet has DOT or their consultant reached out to make sure that
I think the county, city and the local citizens are not the active locations.
It is
Some of
pretty
those
good.
would be obviously the active locations.
Okay. Anyone else have questions? No? Anyone online? My group today. Okay, thank you, Vishaka. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the multimodal counts from the multimodal counts report from Ben Gordon.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for having me again. Ben Gordon, Hillsborough TPO. And as Vishaka said, this is going to have a lot of overlap with the vehicular counts that you went over earlier. And just for some background, in 2017, Hillsborough TPO's Vision Zero Action Plan identified a whole list of high injury network corridors. And these are corridors with high rates of crashes resulting in fatalities and serious injuries. And to understand where the system's most vulnerable users, bicyclists and pedestrians, where they interact with that high injury network, the TPO contracted with the National subconsultants in 2023 to conduct a series of multimodal counts. Now, motor vehicle counts are a typical tool used to evaluate roads and to plan for future needs. But those traditional methods for collecting motor vehicle counts, for example, are just, they're ineffective at capturing the activities of people on foot and on bikes along corridors or at intersections. The most effective and accurate method for capturing such data is by using video equipment to record and document the numbers of people traveling on foot and on bikes. Camera counts also allow us to determine the road user's precise location. So are they on the road, on a sidewalk, and so on, and their direction of travel. So Vanessa's subconsultant, NDS, deployed 80 cameras at locations identified by the Hillsborough TPO staff. And they were all located on high injury network corridors, with the exception of a single location that was one of 5 recommended by our Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. The consultants collaborated with TPO staff to determine the number of cameras, the desired vantage points, just to get adequate coverage of each of those 80 locations. And I should clarify that these counts also included vehicular counts that will be incorporated into the Shopkins Wider project. So every camera was installed on public property, most often street signs, as you can see here. And the device was securely attached and locked, and then the camera was telescoped to a higher elevation for optimal data collection. This is definitely one of those higher. You've seen this picture, but anyway, so the camera's recording device was in a weatherproof box along with a long-lasting battery. The operation and view were confirmed, and then these and the unique location number were all reported as part of the quality assurance. The cameras recorded all transportation units, so motor vehicles, people on foot, and people on bicycles, for 24-hour witness. Each camera had 24-hour count. And at every location within 3 miles of a public school The counts were taken during a day when school was in session, just to avoid skewing our data with kids walking the street. And I'll say pretty much every location was within 3 miles of school, from what I remember. And these counts were all completed between September and November 2023, those months. So the data collected by all these employed cameras were downloaded processing, and all of the data was viewed to determine the number of bicyclists and pedestrians in the coverage area during the duration of filming. And in addition to cataloging the number of bicyclists and pedestrians present, the location and facilities used were also identified and diagrammed. So we recorded the presence of people on foot and on bicycles, whether they were roadway, in a designated bicycle facility, on a sidewalk, multi-use path, and so on. And you can see here the most important story to project from this is that even on the high injury network, hundreds of people were walking at these locations during the 24-hour time periods. For pedestrians, the highest traffic was at Bayshore Boulevard, north of West Yankee Boulevard, and coming in at 692 people in that one day window. And here is a map that we later produced with, or that the consultant later produced for us, that extrapolated those counts to the average annual extrapolated pedestrian counts. And let's see. As for bicyclists, again, the highest traffic area here was 15th Street between Fowler Avenue and Fletcher Avenue. That was 1,724. And you'll see we did a similar visualization here. And then we took it a step further, and Dinesh downloaded some crash data for us, I think from Signal 4, if I recall correctly, over that same 1 year period. And then they produced this heat map that had superimposed count data on top of it. And so you can see here, again, these are some areas with high pedestrian crash counts and high numbers of pedestrians at the same time. There are people using these roadways on foot. Here's the same one, but just with vehicle counts and vehicle crashes. Yeah, I think I skipped over this one for a second by accident, but yeah, this is the bike counts and crashes. And so I guess the question now is just how the TPO might use this data, definitely to inform recommendations and order and safety studies. That's out of date at this point, now ignore that. But anyway, we may tie count data into the transportation improvement program prioritization process in the future. And definitely recommend repeating inflections just to observe trends, especially before and after project implementation. This is definitely a pilot project. We want to do it again, hopefully in partnership with the local jurisdictions, besides Windsor County, cities as well. And yeah, with that in mind, I'll just open it up to questions, discussion, clarification. Apologies, there were a few details that may have been a bit out of date at the end there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Could you go back to one of the first heat maps, or actually before you did the heat maps? Yeah, this looks good. So were there any insights? I mean, is this just a data delivery of information, or were there some additional insights? As like you said, that the consultant had layered the heat map with the concentrations of the high pedestrian areas and the high cycling areas.
Right. So, for example, this is the same map as the one that I just had up in terms of the traffic volumes, right? These dots here, and then yeah, that's overlaid on the heat map. So, yeah, that's the primary sort of analysis that we carried out so far. Yeah, I can't speak to these individual locations, to be honest. I should look on that a little bit. That,
Yeah, this is just the beginning of the process, I'm
exactly.
you know, we
And
get
I
the
think
data and then it
too
leads
that,
us.
Yeah, that all this data is available on our website now. We got that up fairly recently, and I just want to share. You probably saw it already. So it's going to be integrated. It already is on the traffic count page. You'll find it. You can find the full report on this link, and also a SharePoint that has the underlying data right here. And it's very fine grained. We have hour by hour data for each of those count stations within the 24 hours. And I think Vishaka touched on this as well, but we are currently integrating the new vehicular and multimodal counts into this map here too. So that's a work in progress, but you'll be able to see it soon.
Okay, that's great. Any comments or questions?
I mean, I don't know if probably just more comments, trying to see how to use the data. Yeah, some of it's kind of interesting. I think you look at the two highest pedestrian areas and then you overlay the crashes and it's actually not an area with high crashes. So I think there's a potential for lessons learned about why are they effective in not having crashes in the same area where you have the highest volume of pedestrians. So it's kind of like reverse of what you'd expect. I happen to be really familiar with the second highest one, the Bloomingdale. That's Bloomingdale High School. They're all heading straight to Starbucks and Chick-fil-A. They stay on the same side of the road. They don't cross any major intersection to speak of. And, that's probably lends to why there's not many pedestrian crashes. And I'm sure the Bay Shore is because it's, all the efforts taken over the years on Bay Shore to try to really highlight pedestrian crossing and then the detached area of the sidewalk is probably one big reason, they're not seeing any crashes there. So I think there's lessons to be learned, I guess. The other thing I'd highlight just that I noticed is 15th Street and the bicycle, the high count of bicycles in that highest area. Been on doing this for a lot of years. I'm not a transportation guy, but I see trends and that street continually comes up as an area where there seems to be problems. I know at one point they were looking at the sidewalks were in disrepair or needed to be fixed. I think by now they probably have, but those are all things that combined with this to say, where do we maybe need to put more emphasis based on the number of counts? So I think it's good data to have for sure. The shot guys chomping at the bit to respond.
I wonder to it, if you look at this table, you can see that most of them are 15 Fletcher related roads, like it's all in the same area. Fletcher between Roseby Downs and then east of Roseby Downs.
Yeah.
15, so it's all like that whole network.
Yeah, but I know, again, I'm an amateur at this, but I know Fletcher has had a lot of money pumped into it to add it, and it's probably made for a lot of improvements. I also drive down that road and see people a half a block away from the crosswalks crossing, not in the crosswalk. You can only lead a horse so far, but they have to drink at some point, and it's hard to make them drink that water if they're not going to use it. So all we can do is do our best. But I guess my big point is I see value in it for sure. Where exactly I feel it more as like a tool to support other projects.
Right, it guides us and it helps us prioritize. Absolutely. And maybe one of the reasons why when you have high pedestrian volume areas, but low crashes is because it's an area where drivers would expect to see pedestrians. And so they tend to just, because of the context, they tend to drive more safely. And then the other areas, they might be driving faster.
Yep.
Because of the conditions of the road. Yeah, and I think all of our jurisdictions with, whether it's coming from the county, the city, and our towns, there is such an emphasis and understanding on how we can help course correct from where we've been. The numbers aren't always showing it, but we are certainly putting a full press effort into making change. And the most challenging thing in transportation is we're in the behavior modification business, right? when I got to the city, I realized it's like, how come transportation, we're all so stressed out, but water and wastewater not so? Because the ones that they're working on flowing there, to help facilitate flow, it follows physics. And those equations where for us, we have the human element. And so, yeah. Even if you're not a transportation guy, you're pretty good at it.
Well, I've been doing it for a lot of years now.
Yeah.
I think it's going on 10 years on these committees, so
Oh, wow.
I guess I picked up a few things.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of it is common sense. So, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, Margaret, it's Achilles. Along the same lines of Jeff, I was going to ask, so how are those locations picked on to do the data collection to begin with?
How were those locations picked? I just want to make sure I got the question right. We narrowed it down based on several factors. Partially just the budget available to us. We decided to do 80 locations, just based on our resources at the time. And we also limited it to city and county roadways, not state roads. And they're all on the high entry network. And we wanted to do locations that had been the previous site or station for earlier vehicular counts to make it easier to integrate into that on the map. And so I'd say that those were the main factors that led us to come down here. I will say that we're not exclusively interested in locations on the high entry network by any means, right? But we do think there's an interesting story to see here that people are walking and biking even on the high entry network. And there are even more outside of it that we'll hope to look into in future studies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have the same comment. So I know we have the data available and the report. When is this going to be integrated to the interactive map?
I think that could be somewhere between 2 weeks to a couple months, just depending on, what hurdles come up. I'm working on it. I think it will be in some weeks. That's the most likely time.
Thank you.
We are doing it in-house, so that's why. That's the ultimate goal, is to incorporate it into this, and you also have, if you click on each location, you can look at it by jurisdiction and
Yes.
system.
And it's easier with the interactive map to compare the old counts with the new counts and everything's going on with layers.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're working on that. I don't think it's going to take months. Don't take my word there. But,
All right, thank you.
So you did mention that you chose the sites that were not on the state routes. Is the state participating and getting additional data at their count stations along their corridors?
The Chaka might be better suited to answer that. Because we didn't carry out counts on state roadways, I think just because of that. I don't exactly remember what the factor was there.
They may already do. I mean,
As
I'm
far as
pretty
I-
sure that they always did count cyclists and pedestrians at their
Right,
locations
so
as
we've
well.
just been overkill.
As far as I know, I'm only aware of the vehicular counts that the state does. It's on the Florida Traffic Online website,
Right.
but I would have to look into it if the bicycle pedestrian counts are also captured into it.
Right,
Okay.
I know they do counts, but I just. But yeah,
I can. get
Margaret,
back
were you
to
just asking if the state includes the peds and bikes in their counts? Was that your question?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Okay, so ultimately, if you're doing a small area study of some sort, you wouldn't be absent of any state road data that was, or state routes. And that data, if you were doing that area and you want to have information related to any state routes as well. So, okay. Thank you. Thanks, Julie.
It's good to know.
thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Ben. Really appreciate it.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, Next up, we have the FY 25 to 29 Transportation Improvement Program updates.
This is Vishaka, again, visiting the FY 25-29 Transportation Improvement Program update. This is a very heavy presentation that Louis has been successfully presenting to various committees. So just to give a background on this, we did present this presentation to the core committee, citizen advisory, and the technical committee over May and June. So those committees were in twice. And it went to the board for adoption in June 12th. So
Okay.
that is a little bit of history about this. But I'm just trying to keep this as a status update. And there are some projects that we are highlighting here for you. I'm going to be breaking this presentation into three parts. The first one is going to be the information to decode. And that's necessary to understand the structure of the chip and why it is important. So this slide compares the chip, gives an introduction about what is the chip. The chip is a transportation improvement program, which is, there are two major documents that the TPO produces. One is the LRTP, the Long Range Transportation Plan. Currently, we have the 2045, which is adopted, but we are getting ready to update LRTP to the 2050. And that sets the stage for the transportation improvement program. The LRTP is broad and it sets the bigger goals, while the chip is more specific and accurate, and it helps to, it includes a spending program for the next 5 years that serves, that is adopted under the Long Range Transportation Plan vision. The chip is subject to many federal and state requirements. So prior to the adoption, we have to go through a checklist to assure that it is consistent with the Long Range Transportation Plan, like I just explained. It is developed in coordination with our partner agencies, including the local jurisdictions, the Florida Department of Transportation, HART, and the other transportation partners. It should include regionally significant projects and mainly projects, the highway and transit projects that are funded by the FHWA, the highway, and the FTA Transit Authority. They should be cost feasible projects that are adopted under the Long Range Transportation Plan. We have, it's developed in consultation with the public, and it goes through a public hearing process. This slide is quickly to explain the structure of the TIP. Again, the TIP just got adopted in June, but every year we go through pretty much the same process. So it's structured into 3 lists, if you would want to call it. The first one is the existing projects that are funded for construction. These include any projects that have been received some construction funding and are currently under construction. The table 2 is the list of EPO priorities. They are the priorities received from consultation with jurisdictions and our local agencies, partner agencies, and they are categorized depending on the type of project purpose they serve, and also depending on the funding type they are going after. These projects will be in the table 2, and once they receive construction funding, they will move to table 1. The third table is the table 3, which includes all other projects funded for the next 5 years. These are projects based on the Florida Department of Transportation's work program that they adopt. We show these projects in the TIP, which are already under the work program, and also we include the projects from the local jurisdictions CIPs, the port, airport, HART, and any other planning studies and miscellaneous projects that fall under the bigger umbrella. Again, going into a little more detail about the table 1, is a list of projects that have been designated as priorities and are currently under construction. They have received some construction program, and they will most likely, they will be in the 5-year period within the TIP, and they will be either complete within the next 5 years. Projects remain on this list until they are complete, and then they will go off the list. The second table, as I had explained before, this is the core of the TIP. It's the projects, it's called the priority table. It is also called the priority list or the list of priority projects log. They are the priorities for the community, and these have been evaluated to ensure that it will have a positive impact based on the transportation goals, and they are ranked based on the anticipated effect on that they will have on each of the performance category for their area of performance. The projects on the table 2 are mostly currently seeking funding still for construction, and they will remain on this table until they have construction funds. This is the table 3. As I explained before, it includes all the projects under the FDOT's work program. It includes the local jurisdictions CIP projects that we get from them, and they are displayed in this TIP report. They also include other planning studies, for example, the TPO studies, and also any miscellaneous projects which cannot be categorized easily. Some examples include miscellaneous projects such as pesticide, herbicide applications, landscape projects, or projects for railroad and all such projects. The local government projects, which are the CIP, is not required to be included in the TIP for their federal guidelines, but we include that just for coordination purposes. So if there is a project that is in a particular road and part of it is FDOT, you can still see the project if there is any other similar projects in that area. The TPO does not have any control on the local jurisdiction CIP projects. So this is an important slide that helps to understand how we rank the priorities, which is the table 2, the list of priority projects. The TPO staff, every year we meet with our local government partners in the beginning of the year around January, and we review with them their current priorities and any other new priorities that they would like to get added to the TIP. These, we receive those letters from the jurisdictions, and they are categorized according to one of our investment programs, which the project fits the best. We will then identify the data and evaluate each project to estimate the impact that it will have on each of the funding program. Based on the results of that evaluation, the project will be ranked among other comparable projects. So if you see on the bottom, the TPO's 5 major investment programs are State of Good Repair and Resilience, Vision Zero or the safety projects, Smart Cities or operational condition projects, Real Choices when not driving, which includes the transit projects, bikes, trains, etc., and the major projects for economic growth, which are major capacity projects and the projects of regional significance. Again, this is just going into a little more details of how the projects are funded. For each priority, we suggest a funding source that best matches the project, that it can be that best matches the project and the goal, depending on the goals of the project, the jurisdiction that's being requested, or the facility type on which the project will be. We also have a combination of different funding sources that we recommend, and also the money that can be allocated for the projects. There could be a combination of different funding sources. The capital improvement projects, like I said, are typically funded with local dollars, which means that the TPO does not have any control on these projects. That slide was just a highlight of how the table looks like. So moving on to the section 2, the first was the process. The second one is just giving you an updated highlights from the tables. So the table 1, like I said earlier, they are projects funded for construction. They are currently under construction. And this year we have newly added the hard CAD system replacement, which will help to improve the system performance, the hard bus replacement, the bus stop capital repairs, which are part of the transit asset maintenance. Under Vision Zero, some projects we have are Macville Avenue from Kennedy Boulevard to West Main Street, US 41 from Idlewild Avenue to Paris Street, Fowler from Florida to 56, and 78 from Causeway to Concord. Under Real Choice, some of the projects that we have are South Coast Greenway, Overpass and Big Bend Road, Flat City Canal Connector Trail Phase 1, which is a Flat City request. And under the major investments for economic growth, some of the bigger projects that we have are US 41 south of Pedula Point, Big Bend Road, the US 41 to Covington Gardens, the bookend of those projects. The I-4 from I-75 off-ramp to Mango Road, Sun Coast Parkway, the section in Hillsborough County, which is just a small section. These are some of other projects. The list is continuing, so I will just read off the list again. But there are more projects in the Vision Zero category, and some of the other projects that I would like to highlight under major investments for economic growth. Again, I-275 from Howard Avenue to Hillsborough River, and I-275 southbound off-ramp to I-4. And I-75 at Gibson Diverging Diamond, which is the big interchange that they are currently building. So moving on to table 2, which are candidates for funding. These are not these are projects that haven't received the construction funding yet. So they are the priority projects. The newly added projects this year are the bus replacements and bus midlife overhaul project, which is HART's top priority. Again, HART's heavy maintenance facility, which is being requested by them. The bus stop capital repairs and the HART radio replacement, system replacement, all those would be for the HART track asset maintenance, keeping. Under Vision Zero, there's a bunch of projects, and I would just like to highlight some of them once here. The added projects are Busher Heights, Florida Bears, State Road 674, US 41 and Sunset Lane, pedestrian signal at Siwaha and 56th Street, that's a Temple Terrace request, US 92 at Gallagher Road, Waters Avenue, West Shore Boulevard from Kennedy to Kennedy, and Slide from Armenia to Nebraska. Moving on to the smart cities category, some of these projects are replacing signals with permanent signals, temporary to permanent, and they are Bayshore at Euclid Road, McDill and Green Street, North Boulevard and Laurel Street, Alexander Street and Baker, Thomas and Reynolds. I think those are more of operational and other improvements also. Columbus Drive at Road, Hines at Main Street, and 56 and the 113 Avenue. Under Real Choices when not driving, we have the Spruce Street ditch closure, the 7th Avenue from Ola to New Chill Parkway, which is in Ybor City. The Spruce Street ditch closure is a West Shore Alliance request. The Tampa City-wide bike network, which is going out in the Rio Grande, I believe. The Bright Line Station multimodal connections, which is to explore some of the connection locations. And the Circulator Capital and Operations, which is the streetcar stream. Under major investments, we have US 92 widening from Maryland to County Line Road to in Plant City, and 122nd Avenue Bridge over Tampa Bay Bypass Canal, Temple Terrace. So this is the third list of projects, which is a table 3. I know it's a lot, but this pie chart will help you to explain how the projects are divided into the 5 major investment categories. Some of these projects also serve other needs. So some of the capacity projects will also include safety or operational improvements as such. The big blue color, which is more than half, is the major investments for economic growth. which is about 55%. And then we have miscellaneous projects, some of them I had explained earlier. Then we have the state of good repair, which is about 50%. We have the real choices, which is about 11%. And we have the smart cities and mission zero projects, which are the smaller parts of the pie. But like I explained before, the goals of these projects also overlap. So they do include elements of safety, condition relief, smart cities, etc. But we go by what the FDUD categorizes as the project category, project type. I would like to highlight some of the interstate capacity projects here, which are part of the FDUD's work program. Mainly, they are I-275, I-4 operational improvements, which is currently happening. The I-275 State Road 60 interchange, Brandon. The I-275 from Lois to Howard, from Howard to Hillsborough River, which is beyond 2029. The I-275 from Howard Franklin Bridge to Lois, and I-4 Ram I-275 project, which is in construction 2025. And some of the other I-4 projects are I-4 Orient to I-75 interchange capacity, which is currently BE 2025. I-4, I-75 to Mango Road, which is an interstate interchange capacity project that I took will be later in this tip cycle. And the Gibson downtown emerging diamond interchange, which I had explained, which I showed you earlier, which is the entire emerging diamond interchange, which will be P 2025. Some of the non-interstate capacity projects are State Road 574 widening from 2 to 4 lanes. It's Kingsway to McIntosh, Valrico to Dover on State Road 60, US 41 widening from 4 to 6 lanes, which will be wait for construction in 2027, and the Big Bend Road maybe 2026. These are some of the projects which are on FDOT's work program. So they are mainly coming off that work program list. Bush Boulevard, Florida Avenue, Tampa Highland Violet, Tampa, Florida, which will be in construction in 2025. The George Road, Dana Shores, which actually connects the Town and Country Trail to the Campbell Causeway Trail at the Skyview Park, which will be part of the Greenway network. The Fowler Avenue from Florida to 56, construction 2026, and then Twixon 2026. Lois will be later in this cycle. 78 McDill and Nebraska from 95 to Paris Street, construction 2025. Under real choices when driving, okay, I just want to mention something here. The Fowler Avenue, Fowler Avenue. Sorry, let me move on. The Greenspine from Howard to 20 Road is in 2025. State Road 39, Alexander Street, James Redmond Parkway to I-4 will be a sidewalk project, which is categorized under marine choices. The Fowler Avenue from 56 to I-75 is actually connects to the Tampa Bypass Canal Trail. So it's a very important project that connects the north side here at USF. And the sidewalk gaps is actually a project by Hillsborough County. And it covers various locations focused on mainly on the high engineering network, but they will close the gaps. I do not remember the length, but they are segments and they are using the carbon reduction funds. So it's a very important project that they're doing. Some of the milestones, we have completed this. This is what I tried to explain to you in the beginning of the presentation, that they have gone through the committees in May and June, which was a draft tip and the priority list. Those are there were two required approvals. One was the TIP document itself and the list of priority projects therealong. So those were the two required requests. And then we made it for a public draft for a 30-day review period on May 12th, which was the 30 days before the June hearing. End of May, we published notices in newspapers, and then flyers were sent to the projects newly, the projects which were new. So we mapped them by address, and we sent flyers, which was over 6,000 new addresses that had projects. So that was for their information purposes, and staff posted roadside signs ahead of the TIP to let them know of the public hearing. And the final submittal will be sent to MDOT. After the hearing, the TIP will be done, and it gets approved. It has to be approved in July, and the TIP gets effective on October 1st, 2024 for the period from 2025 to 29. And following the presentation, I just wanted to bring here some of the comments and some of the questions from the committees. NRC recommended approval, but with the additional recommendation that safety projects should receive a higher priority that needs to be evaluated. The CAC recommended approval with some of the projects that had to be shifted in the priority list. As you can see here, the streetcar extension, airport downtown transit, Bright Line station connection, and the hard CSX study. So they were requested to be moved up on the priority list. The priority list is a very exhaustive list, and it's on the TIP document in the website and the TPO's page. And the TIP board hearing, public hearing on June 12th. TPO board directed staff to change the project status of I-275 on Hillsborough Avenue to north of Bears Avenue. It was initially as a sound walls only project, but they requested it, they made a motion to change the description to a capacity project. So with that, the TIP was adopted successfully on the June 12th public hearing, and I can take any questions.
Very good. Thank you very much. It's a lot of information to share.
So yes, I know the projects were listed just for it's the standard presentation that we've been giving, but it was helpful to highlight the projects and list them out. So questions.
Well done. Thank you.
Do these include resurfacing projects?
Yes, so under the state of good repair and resiliency, some of the projects are resurfacing.
And just for general info, like if there was an area that we wanted to be considered to be added to a future TIP, how would we go about doing that?
You mean as an agency?
Yeah, or just as a suggestion for the, TPO to evaluate whether this section or whatever should be added to the TIP and for next year or something.
So we do receive that that happens during the meetings that we have with individual jurisdictions beginning in January. But if they have like a collection of roads that they would like to add as a program, that can go to as one big project too, and then we would seek that kind of funding. If there are multiple road based need resurfacing, then we can evaluate like that.
Oh, I thought, did you have a comment, Dexter?
No, I saw my projects on there.
I know, so there were a lot of hard projects, right? So
Very good. Anyone else? Oh, quiet Creek today. Okay, thank you, Vishaka. I really appreciate your presentation.
thank you.
Okay, with that, I apologize. I don't remember. How many people do we need to have a quorum?
Fine. So we have a quorum.
Okay. So, Gail, do you need to acknowledge that we now have a quorum, or can I just say that? And that's good.
I noted it. I noted
Okay,
it when
thank you.
Jeff enters the room.
Oh, Cheryl did. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so if we can go back to item number 4, review and approval of the minutes. And Achilles, you had some comments about the minutes that we'd like to entertain?
Yeah, it's just a couple of corrections. If I'm not mistaken, so page 1 says that the meeting was called to order at 1:02 p.m. Obviously, our meeting started after 1:30, so maybe it was 1:32 p.m. And on the last page, so page 3, sorry, of the minutes, yeah, last page, it says next meeting is at April 4th. Obviously, that the next meeting is today, so that's just the corrections.
Thank you for your attention to the details. It's good to have them accurate. No, it's good. I miss those.
The
Okay, so
content
with that,
is fine.
the content is fine?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
From professor's perspective.
Oh, yeah. A professor's perspective is what she said. That's perfect. Okay, so with that, do we have a motion to approve the minutes with these modifications?
I motion to approve the minutes with the modifications that were mentioned.
Okay,
Ryan Sias?
do we have a second?
Second.
Amir seconds it. Any further conversation? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None being heard, the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, then under old business and new business, I just wanted to point out a few things that are coming up. I know that the ITS Florida conference is coming up. Unfortunately, some personal plans, I'm not going to be able to attend. I didn't know if anyone else was. If you're
Transplex, Transpo,
Transco.
Transpo, the
Transco
ITS,
is the one that's,
oh, for ITS Florida, the ITS Florida puts together.
yes. I think that's
Okay.
the next one.
If anyone goes, if you could pay attention and see if there's any presentations and information that you may want to bring back and suggest that someone come back and do a presentation, that'd be really helpful. Because we're always trying to expand our knowledge. Also, I noticed that we have this, the Gulf Coast Safe Street Summit coming up. I think that's in October, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He says we.
So just kind of keep that on your calendar. And then there were some additional items on the electronic version of the agenda that you may want to go through.
The Florida AV Summit,
Oh, sure, go ahead. Say that again.
the Florida AV Summit, which happens in September. It's the same week as Florida APA, but that's a Tampa to this year.
Oh, okay. I'll be in Florida APA, so. I've got a presentation.
Try to find some good presentations from the APA also.
Yes, absolutely. So if anyone else is going to any presentations, if you could, or conferences or anything, please keep us in mind. So we have a nice rich opportunity to learn more. That's all I have. Does anyone else have any new business or items? Nope. Well, that's a brief meeting.
Because the other committees are off this month.
Oh, they are.
COB committee, which is.
Oh, okay, because we only meet quarterly. That's, yeah, that makes sense that we would go ahead and get together. So anyone online, do you have anything good for the order? Okay, none being heard. The meeting will be adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.